Greetings, my fellow Americans. This is your President Samuel Ronan speaking, and today is Taco Tuesdays, where we discuss U.S. policy and the rise of fascism, or in this case, the consolidation of fascism in America. Today, I am extremely still exhausted, I guess, from the training last week, so we're doing a bit more casual today. Hair's all a mess, so maybe I'll end up putting the hat on here in a bit. But just so in case anybody's wondering, we're just focusing on stuff today. That being said, we are going to be covering a great deal of things, not least of which is the Commander's All Call that thankfully resulted in just being a nothing to worry about situation of the administration trying to aggrandize itself instead of the thing that we all feared it was going to be, which is bending the knee. So thank goodness for that it did not end up being as harmful as it could have been. So with that being said, I'm streaming from OBS. I'm trying to give this one a whirl because, quite frankly, split stream has been nothing but a pain in the ass, and it actually feels like I get somewhat better quality and bit rate from this. So I think we're going to stick with that. So yeah. Hello, Mr. Prez. Hello, Anna. Hello, Apolitical. Long time since tuning in because of tough times, but it's getting better. Awesome. Glad to have you back. I hope your situation has improved as well. And looks like my chair is falling apart. There we go. So, by the way, Twitch didn't notify me of the stream starting. I usually get a notification on my phone. See, that's the thing that gets me. Allegedly, or would this even be under settings? Stream? No. Survey? No. Channel? No, maybe it is just under the go live notification. Where the fuck? I don't know my way well enough around this. Point being, I have noticed that as well, that there's like 80 of y'all that have notifications turned on, and it only ever reaches like 2 or 3 of you. So it's really weird, really awkward to say the least. But we will, I guess, continue pressing forward. I will also say, I was debating on whether we do this for our streams, because technically this is how every other content creator operates. They have their main content here, and then they got chat above. So, and of course now I'm looking over here because I'm used to the thing being over there. I could maybe put myself up here. Oh, maybe not. Hold on. There we go. I could maybe put myself in this corner, and then we could see the, I don't know. Can I just do Control Z? Awesome. All right. Or maybe the video can flip 180 degrees. How does that even work? Hold on. Is it transform? Horizontal? No. Horizontal, vertical. Well, it wasn't vertical, folks. It actually was, in fact, horizontal. All right, so now I'll be Fuck! I guess when I point... Nope, that's not going to work. That's just really not going to work. I'll just have to... Well, actually, I could just put everything on the other side. And then that should resolve that, right? So I'll be watching it with you guys. No, because it's still up here. Nope, I guess I had it right the first time. So, long story short, I guess. I'm just trying to mess around and see what works better for the stream, for the viewership. You know, what is everybody used to seeing, wanting to see? And I kind of wonder if part of it is that people aren't seeing my beautiful face while we're discussing things that are happening. Anyway. You're a vampire hanging upside down? Yeah. So, we can give this a whirl, and then it just looks like we're live from the White House, the Oval Office, and go from there. I mean, what's the worst that can happen? Am I right? Let's see. I kind of want to keep... well. Alright. So, obviously we're going to get started on talking about Asata Shakur. This is my YouTube on the actual website, right? So on actual Chrome. So we should not be getting ads on fucking these videos, because I tried logging into my account on the other whatchamacallit, and it didn't make a damn bit of difference. So we'll go ahead and get a nice big close-up of Amy, and let's roll.
We end today's show with the words of Asata Shakur, who died in Havana, Cuba, Thursday at the age of 78. She was a legendary figure within the Black Panther Party and the Black Liberation Army. Asata Shakur was convicted in the May 2nd, 1973 killing of a New Jersey state trooper during a shootout that left one of her fellow activists dead.
Damn. But, so here's the thing. Isn't Asata Shakur Tupac Shakur's mother? And not only that, but, like, she was that hardcore. She was in a shootout with cops. I did not know that. That's pretty fucking baller. That's Tupac's aunt. Okay. Tupac has some badass family.
She was shot twice by police during the incident. Wow. In 1979, she managed to escape from jail and flee to Cuba, where she received political asylum. She long proclaimed her...
We're not even 30 seconds into this thing. She's been shot at. She's been in a shootout. She was hit. She escaped and made it to Cuba. Goddamn. And the forensics says she couldn't have shot the cop. So, she was set up by the police as well. Outstanding.
Innocence. In 1998, Democracy Now! Aired her reading an open letter to Pope John Paul II during his trip to Cuba. She wrote the message after New Jersey state troopers sent the Pope a letter asking him to call for her extradition.
The trooper wrote the Pope to call for her extradition. The trooper. And the Pope read that letter, and that made national news. And then Asata was like, hey, tell this fucking clown not to do that. What the fuck? Yeah, that's... her autobiography must be one of the most wild... almost reads like nonfiction, or almost like fiction.
This is Asata Shakur.
My name is Asata Shakur, and I was born and raised in the United States. I am a descendant of Africans who were kidnapped and brought to the Americas as slaves. I spent my early childhood in the racist segregated South. I later moved to the northern part of the country, where I realized that black people were equally victimized by racism and oppression.
I mean, not that I want to stop her from talking at all or anything, but I mean, that's what's often missed. People think that the racism was just in the South during the Jim Crow era or post-Jim Crow era or post-Civil Rights Act of 1968 era, and that's just not true. Racism is as ingrained in our nation's history and culture as the founding of it, right? Slavery was literally christened in our Constitution, the 3/5 Compromise. Like, that's in our Constitution. So there's no way that even 100 years later, or even 200 years later, we got over that. And that's the thing. 200 years after 1776 is about when she's talking about these issues happening in America. And the reality is, the Civil Rights Act was around for maybe a decade by the time she's talking about. So imagine if the Civil Rights Act were passed 10 years ago. I mean, theoretically, that's about when Obama was president. Think about it. Obama was president about 10 years ago. And since his presidency, white supremacy and white nationalist outrage has been skyrocketing. Absolutely skyrocketing, despite the fact we had a first black president. So just because the law passed and just because, you know, she's an activist for the Black Panthers and this, that, and the other, doesn't mean that the world changed overnight. If anything, it got worse before it got better. A generation had to die and disappear and become quiet, become silenced, so that actual integration, so that actual cultural and racial unity could actually start. Because now biracial relationships don't even cause people to bat an eyelash, yet cross religions do, or like transgender and queer relationships. Those are the big ones now, right? But white and black, white and Latino, Latino and black, Asian, whatever, none of that bats anybody's eyelash anymore. It's still religion. It's still different cultural aspects, or it's different sexual orientations and gender identities. Now, 10 years from now, are things going to get worse or better? Well, hopefully within those 10 years I become president and they will get better. But that is the world that Asata Shakur is presently living in as she's giving this address.
I grew up and became a political activist, participating in student struggles, the anti-war movement, and most of all, in the movement for the liberation of African Americans in the United States. I later joined the Black Panther Party, an organization that was targeted by the COINTELPRO program, a program that was set up by the Federal Bureau of Investigation.
Okay, I didn't realize that my mouse actually worked on the screen now. Now, when I point at shit, y'all can oh, wait, no. Wait, yes. Yes, when I point at stuff on the screen, I think that's Asata in this. You'll see it. And if I... Oh, nope, because it hides behind chat, so I can't highlight chat. But that doesn't matter. Anyway. Trump was a racist slumlord right in Queens. Him and his dad were found guilty of racial discrimination in a court of law. Apolitical 10 years ago. Right. It's kind of crazy to think about that. 10 years ago, Obama was president of the United States of America. Our economy was recovering. Yes, there were certainly problems in the United States, but it was trending upwards. It was improving. Our economy was growing. Like social integration was improving. There were at least some social safety nets that were being strengthened. And then Trump. And then Biden. And now Trump again. 10 years after the Obama administration. Not even 10 years, because it's not even 2026 yet. 10 years after the Obama administration. And we are essentially... Well, not essentially. We are in a consolidated fascist regime. That is the equivalent of the Civil Rights Act passing in 1968. And, well, fortunately, thank God, actual U.S. history gave us more democracy, or at least it didn't immediately devolve into fascism. That's when we got Reagan. Reagan was the beginning of the end, I think, for our country. But I digress. In the same 10 years that we went from the Civil Rights Act to... Actually, the Reagan administration. Shit. Wait. What? That's right. 1968, and Reagan was elected in what was it? 1978. Am I mistaken on that? So yeah. No, that actually happened again, because Reagan was racist. He started the war on drugs, which was actually the war on black people, brought the crack pandemic to the black communities, and then overly policed and changed mandatory minimums. 1980. So 12 years. Okay, so 12 years. Still, damn near within a decade, we go from getting the Civil Rights Act passed to the war on drugs against black people. Fucking insane.
To eliminate all political opposition to the U.S. government's policies, to destroy the black liberation movement in the United States, to discredit activists, and to eliminate potential leaders. Under the COINTELPRO program, many political activists were harassed, imprisoned, murdered, or otherwise neutralized. As a result of being targeted by COINTELPRO, I, like many other young people, was faced with the threat of prison, underground, exile, or
I should just let that go.
death. The FBI, with the help of local police agencies, systematically fed false accusations and fake news articles to the press, accusing me and other activists of crimes we did not commit. Although in my case the charges were eventually dropped or I was eventually acquitted, the national and local police agencies created a situation where, based on their false accusations against me, any police officer could shoot me on sight. It was not until the Freedom of Information Act was passed in the mid-'70s.
Bro, there's so much to unpack, and we're in pie time through this already. I actually forgot that the Freedom of Information Act, as well as HIPAA, weren't even passed until the 70s. We take that shit for granted. We take FOIA and HIPAA for granted. And realistically, she is probably one of the reasons why it did actually become law. Because she was just set up, per her own testimony, she was acquitted and then released. Because the cops literally framed her for things she did not do. And she was talking about COINTELPRO, which was a now declassified FBI program that systematically attacked activists, specifically within black liberation movements, but included all grassroots left-leaning groups as well. Which, when people say, it's no wonder the left can't do anything, no wonder the left sucks, no wonder the left keeps getting co-opted, well, the reality is, most of our left leadership was murdered by our own fucking country, or set up, or in otherwise, as she said, neutralized. And this is just up to the 70s. Past that, none of our movements were able to grow or pick up steam, because then the Democrats started co-opting and doing COINTELPRO on their own. So the fact that we are facing fascism without any sort of opposition can literally be traced back to the era of the Black Panthers and the Asata Shakurs of our country's history. Like, it's crazy hearing history spoken from the mouth of the person that lived it, who literally wrote the history. She is literally writing the history. She spoke the history. She lived it. And it was because of her and people like her that we have some of the things we take for granted today, like the Civil Rights Act, like FOIA, like HIPAA. The ability to actually counteract police. We can literally, no hyperbole, we can literally attribute that to Asata Shakur and the Black Panthers of the era.
That we begin to see the scope of the United States government's persecution of political activists.
Damn.
At this point, I think that it is important to make one thing very clear. I have advocated, and I still advocate, revolutionary changes in the structure and in the principles that govern the United States. I advocate self-determination for my people and for all oppressed people inside the United States. I advocate an end to capitalist exploitation, the abolition of racist policies, the eradication of sexism, and the elimination of political repression. If that is a crime, then I am totally guilty.
God damn. I am so sad that she died. She's 78 years old. To be fair, life expectancy is around between 78 to 83, right? For most people. So, she lived her life. But could you imagine a Ronan presidency that completely pardoned Asata Shakur, completely cleared her slate, and put to prison every single person who persecuted her, gave her actual freedom back to walk in her own country without any hint or fear of being molested by this nation? The thing that makes me the most sad is that she did not get to experience her freedom in her country, where she was born, raised, and fought, and technically died for. I'm really sad that she does not get to experience the fruits of her labor. So when I say that this stream, the campaign, everything that we're working on towards here isn't for my own self-aggrandizement, it's so that we can get into this fucking office and validate the sacrifices that have been made in our nation's past by people like Asata Shakur, like Martin Luther King Jr., like Malcolm X, and every other Black Panther that is less famous or more famous besides. Fred Hampton comes to mind immediately, actually. So my point is, we cannot let their struggles, their literal sacrifices, their fights be in vain. On a less brouhaha subject, though, berets must have been the thing back then, because Che Guevara, you got the Black Panthers, and I think several other socialist and communist factions across the globe were all wearing the black beret. So I wonder why the black beret went out of style. Out of personal curiosity. So, anyway. Well, actually, wait. Sorry. Catching up with chat. Sorry. All right. Reagan was elected in 1980. People loved his racist ass so much they elected his VP after him. Right. If only we could do things for the benefit of all of humanity, should be all on the same team. Agreed. My mom once got a perm because she wanted a fro, but she looked like a poodle. Oh. We've been systemically sabotaged by the US government and the media since the fucking 60s and 70s with actual mission statements by our federal agencies. I lived in a town with 2 black people most of my life. Racism is a relatively new concept for me. But since moving to the big city, I understand it better. And it's funny you say that, because I grew up in the same situation. Lancaster, Ohio was the least diverse city in America per capita, period, for quite some time. And only recently have there been more diverse communities, people moving into the city. But I didn't actually see a proper distribution of race in this country until I enlisted into the Air Force, went to basic training, and met and was in a flight with half the people being black, Hispanic, and Asian. So diversity in this country, you wouldn't believe it exists if you grew up in rural white America. But if you grew up literally anywhere else, it's beyond obvious that it exists. Thank you, Kai, for the reminder.
Never give up in a million, billion, zillion years. Do you understand me?
Damn, speaking of thirsty nerds, I'm already a cup down and we're barely 30 minutes into this thing. I wanted to go to Cuba to meet her. That was on my bucket list. Yeah, but I mean, opportunities, right? Plus, Cuba just recently stopped being embargoed by the United States, so it's not like you could have just gone there easily. At least she doesn't get to experience Trump too. Well, I mean, she did experience 8 months of it. At least she got to live free in Cuba. They never gave her up. No, that's true. That's fucking awesome. So meanwhile, they're trying to kill Fidel and try and get to Asata Shakur, and they couldn't do either of those things. That's fucking awesome. Now I get how Tupac was so based, right? I kind of wish, again, it's unfortunate because I didn't realize how young he was when he died. I thought he was in his 30s, but he wasn't even 30 years old when he died. I think he was 28, if that. But he got so caught up in the gang portion of hip-hop music that's what ultimately killed him, is actually bringing street-level gang violence to celebrity music conflict. It's crazy because, again, he was such a strongly outspoken individual. He was very much so, I don't know if he was purposely doing it, but he was very much so being positioned to being a civil rights leader, a leader of black liberation. And he died so fucking young. It's depressing as shit. Obama put her on the most wanted terrorist list. Oh, speaking of Obama. Jesus. The Young Lords. Gotta stay hydrated to beat the fascists. Have a good stream. Thank you, Kai. I could go to Cuba easily. Okay, well. Tupac was 24. See, that's my point. He wasn't even a fully developed adult. You know what I'm saying? Like, 25 is when your frontal lobe, forms or whatever. So, dude wasn't even technically a fully grown adult. Obviously, grown man, badass, black liberation speaker, speaking about, people's real problems. But, like, the man died way before his prime. And it kind of makes you wonder, he'd be, in his 50s? Right? If he was 24 when he died? So he'd probably be in his 50s right now. Could you imagine what an elder Tupac Shakur would be like right now? Even during the Obama administration. The Bush administration. Could you imagine his words about the war on terror? Could you imagine him during the Obama administration? He probably would have tore Obama's ass a new one. Never mind Trump. I bet Tupac would have dropped albums on Trump's ass alone. And we missed it. We don't get to have it, unfortunately. I'm so glad Dutch people don't have guns. I think we beat USA in racism. Could be. But the thing is, America has guns to prevent tyranny and oppression, and we're not using the guns to fight back against the tyranny and oppression. So, America has guns, and the people with most of the guns who were shaking their fist about tyranny and oppression voted for the tyranny and oppression and are cheering for the tyranny and oppression. So, the Founding Fathers fucked up on that one. There really wasn't enough of a safety switch or lever to prevent fascism from happening, or if it did rear its ugly head, actual mechanisms that would prevent it from solidifying. Because guns is apparently not enough. Because you gotta have guns and the will to go against oppression with the guns. Not supporting the oppression, using the guns. Fucking insane. I have my theories on why he was killed. I mean, here's the thing too, right? If P. Diddy was behind it and fueled the gang violence, West Coast, East Coast, style violence, right? But P. Diddy was also just recently, sentenced. He was found guilty, was he not? Of the sex trafficking stuff. Then that would imply that he was in the game for quite some time and could have been activated even back then to put an end to a rising star. Not just in the celebrity sense, but in the activism sense, like his aunt. So I wouldn't be against you in that theory. I knew he would be talking about Palestine. He absolutely fucking would be. I think P. Diddy was involved, but also the police. Oh, yeah, no. I mean, obviously the feds were there. Yeah, absolutely. Why are all U.S. events connected? So, Here's one that is going to blow your mind. A high schooler several years back did a project on U.S. history on how all of the presidents, except for a handful, are related because of their maternal line, which can be traced back to Charlemagne. Charlemagne's mother or wife or something like that. Effectively insinuating that America has been a monarchy that inherits the throne, the presidency, since its inception. And by the way, that included Obama. Obama was not the exception. So, when you start thinking about that, the fact that a majority of our presidents have actually been related to royalty in Europe and have thus led the country and so on and so forth, and then you have all these conspiracies about consolidating power, consolidating capitalism, the pedophile shit, which again, royalty, the cultism that some argue and allege or have proven occurs in DC and so on and so forth. I mean, yeah, talk about needing to purge the shit out of American politics. I've watched documentaries about it. Yeah, no, like that's about Tupac, not what I was just saying. I see. People who think about conspiracy theories here are seen as crazy, but in the U.S. it's valid. Well, the problem is, a lot of conspiracy theories, given enough time, end up being the truth. Like, take Alex Jones, who's now sporting a Hitler stash. Take him, for example, though. He did a segment saying that the windmills are turning the frogs gay. Well, nobody believed the shit. Like, that's just, you know? But it turns out there was a biologist who specialized in amphibian, which is its own science, and I'm going to just say it's amphibianology. I'm fairly certain it's not called that, but let's just say it was. That guy said that because windmills were causing erosion in that area, it was causing chemicals to leak into the water that would turn the tadpoles, once they be matured into frogs, gay, preventing them from reproducing. Now, I don't know if it was like all windmills. I don't remember the whole scientific study, but the dude actually went before some sort of scientific body, presented his data. It was corroborated, and it was like, listen, I don't know I don't know why, but these windmills are causing erosion, which are bringing minerals into the water that is in fact turning the frogs gay. And that's the story Alex Jones ran with, right? So, now sure, okay, fine, the false flags and the crisis actors thing, right, fine. Okay, crisis actors, that's usually 99.99% of the time not real, especially if it's coming from extreme right-wing sociopaths, right? But false flags, we've been covering false flags on our channel since we started streaming again. And the problem is false flags are always dubbed conspiracies, but are very often than not events that lead to immediate changes of government policy, right? Or at least the attempt of changing government policy, right? Charlie Kirk gets murdered, and they immediately pass, or not pass because it wasn't legislation, but they immediately do the EO to criminalize Antifa and transgender. Now being transgender is a terrorist crime, like an act of terrorism. To be transgender is to be a terrorist. Transgender, ISIS, same thing, right? And it happened right after the Charlie Kirk murder. And then you have his wife taking over Turning Point, and now you have legislators in Oklahoma trying to implement and enforce establishing Turning Point in every university, which is, again, the Hitler Youth Program. So, there is a lot of things that would be conspiratorial if they weren't straight up happening in succession, right? If you were watching a movie and, you know, the Hitler Youth Program creator got murdered, his wife took over and then immediately started promoting the Hitler Youth Program throughout the whole country and enforcing it in all the states, you'd be like, yeah, that's a little too on the nose. Even Hitler didn't do that. He didn't have somebody killed to promote the Hitler Youth Program. He just kind of fucking did it. Like, what the hell is this shit, right? People wouldn't believe it if it was fiction. But happening in real life, people are just gobbling it down. Hence, why people consider any sort of, dissent, for that matter, or discourse highlighting these very strange series of events, connecting these dots as conspiratorial, when it's like, dude, it's literally point A goes exactly to point B, does not deviate, does not branch, no sinusoidal movement whatsoever. It is linear progression. Charlie Kirk, murdered. Transgender people are labeled terrorists. Another person killed. Antifa, labeled terrorists. Another person killed. Both times, bullet writing is now becoming the shtick from this FBI. Oh, and now we're going to order the generals to come to D.C. Granted, thank God this didn't happen, and we're certainly going to cover this at some point today, but everybody was holding their breath, thinking that it was going to be a bend the knee situation, but as it turned out, it was just a Trump rally, but in front of the nation's military leadership. So thank God it was just stupidity. But, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's going to directly lead to X, Y, and Z afterwards, which we don't know what that X, Y, and Z is yet, because it hasn't happened yet, but we are going to be able to point that, okay, these generals didn't clap for him, so now there's going to be this policy that changes these things in the way it's appeared. So, yeah. Alex Jones is funny. Oh. It was the water that was turning the frogs gay? Yeah, from the minerals in the water from the windmills. I read something totally different, but yeah, it was partially true. I almost duked it out with an Alex Jones fan once. Yeah, I bet that was mildly entertaining. TPUSA is now being ran by people who are 100% pro-Israel, like Charlie's wife. I watched a video about how she may have been an Israeli honeypot. Well, that's the thing, too. There are so many people now being integrated into the Trump administration who were in the Trump pageants. Charlie Kirk's wife being one of them, and the new attorney that prosecuted the former head of the FBI being another one of them. Like, we're sprinkling in previous beauty pageant members into the federal government because they will comply with this fascist regime. Fucking wild. Israel wasn't happy with Charlie. They didn't think he was pro-Israel enough. They got the bullet writing idea from Luigi. Yeah, no, they did. But how many shootings have there been since Luigi that were politically motivated and there were no writings on the bullets? And now all of a sudden it's like every shooting that's politically motivated has writing on it. I'm actually shocked that the guy who went at the Mormon church didn't leave writing on the bullets yet. So, anyway. Let's carry on with
Long story
Asata.
short, I was captured in New Jersey in 1973 after being shot with both arms held in the air and then shot again from the back. I was left on the ground to die, and when I did not, I got a nation of political repression. If that is a crime, then I am totally guilty. To make a long story short, I was captured in New Jersey in 1973 after being shot with both arms held in the air and then shot again from the back.
History has literally not changed in the slightest. How many cops have shot black people who were in the literal act of surrendering? Hands up, don't shoot. That is literally a statement that is prolific in America right now, especially when it comes to police violence against black people. Hands up, don't shoot. Jesus.
Left on the ground to die, and when I did not, I was taken to a local hospital where I was threatened, beaten, and tortured. In 1977, I was convicted in a trial that can only be described as a legal lynching. In 1979, I was able to escape with the aid of some of my fellow comrades. I saw this as a necessary step, not only because I was innocent of the charges against me, but because I knew that the racist legal system in the United States, I would receive no justice. I was also afraid that I would be murdered in prison. I later arrived in Cuba, where I am currently living in exile as a political refugee. The New Jersey State Police and other law enforcement officials say they want to see me brought to justice. But I would like to know what they mean by justice. Is torture justice? I was kept in solitary confinement for more than 2 years, mostly in men's prisons. Is that justice?
What the fuck? I'm sorry. She was shot twice, left to bleed out, and through sheer force of fuck you, she didn't die. They took her to a hospital where they then continued assaulting her, and she somehow survived the bullet wounds. And then they sent her to a men's prison in solitary confinement. Not only is that fucked, but again, unconstitutional, because cruel and unusual punishment is literally in the Bill of Rights. You cannot fucking do that. Jesus fucking Christ. I am learning for the first time today about the true history of what happened to Asata Shakur.
My lawyers were threatened with imprisonment and imprisoned. Is that justice? I was tried by an all-white jury without even the pretext of impartiality, and then sentenced to life in prison plus 33 years. Is that justice? Let me emphasize that justice for me is not the issue I am addressing here. It is justice for my people that is at stake. When my people receive justice, I am sure that I will receive it too. I ask nothing for myself. I only ask you to examine the social reality of the United States and to speak out against the human rights violations that are taking place. On this day, the birthday of Martin Luther King, I am reminded of all those who gave their lives for freedom. Most of the people who live on this planet are still not free. I ask only that you continue to work and pray to end oppression and political repression. It is my heartfelt belief that all the people on this earth deserve justice, social justice, political justice, and economic justice. I believe it is the only way we will ever achieve peace and prosperity on this earth. I hope that you enjoy your visit to Cuba. This is not a country that is rich in material wealth, but it is a country that is rich in human wealth, spiritual wealth, and moral wealth. Respectfully yours, Asata Shakur, Havana, Cuba.
Thank
Damn. I mean, what else are you going to say to that? I have been advocating for everything she just talked about. I am a white man, however. I am the least. I am a white male veteran. Cis. I am a straight white male veteran. I am the least oppressed demographic in this country. I mean, I'm a little poor, but beyond that, I'm the least oppressed person in this country, right? But hearing her speak about what she went through, and then having the humility to talk about, I do not care about myself, I care about the liberation of my people, of all people, for us to truly achieve liberty and freedom. Like, it hits different. I mean, I don't feel like a poser. I don't, you know, I'm not gonna go off and just be PC and all this other shit. What I am gonna say though is, we lost a real one. How can I live up to her legacy? Sure, I can win Congress, I can even win the presidency, and I can do everything she asked me to do. And that still doesn't live up to her legacy. That, like, because I am not an oppressed person. I'm doing the right thing from a position of privilege. I'm doing what every white person should have been doing, which is seeking true equity. True equity. True, actual, unmitigated, just, we are all human fucking beings. And that is why we are doing what we are doing. I am actually really sad that I did not know more about her, because I knew of Asata Shakur. I think you can't be in leftist spaces and never have heard of her, right? Like, I don't think that's possible. But I did not know the woman. I did not know her story. I did not know her background, right? Like, everything that happened to her. I knew she was related to Tupac. I knew she was in Cuba. I knew she was, you know, part of the Black Panthers, and that she shook her fist. Actually, she did. She probably coined this, for all we know. I mean, as badass as she was probably one of the women that came up with this idea. Absolute fucking legend. Legend does not even do her enough justice. She literally fought in a time and place and era where they were actively trying to kill dissenters. Actively going after black people with racist intent, with a judicial process that was unabashedly racist. As a black woman fighting for black liberation, that we, even black people today, Latino people today, well, maybe Latino people, black people today are not facing the same shit she was facing. Not even close. We still have a racist judicial system, and we still have racist cops. But we at least have the ACLU. We at least have the NAACP, right? We actually have a few things going for us, or going for black communities. Latino community right now is being well targeted by the secret police. So I would argue that the black struggle of the 60s and the 70s is the Latino struggle of apparently 2025. Because deliberate, beyond judicial, extrajudicial kidnappings and trafficking, complete disregard for due process, murder in custody, brutality, torture, dehumanization, the whole nine yards. That is happening to Latinos across the country. And that's the same shit that was happening to black communities across the country during Asata's time. How history changes yet repeats itself. What is your idea of like the power dynamic between the U.S. and Israel the last 30 years? Honestly, I didn't know how influential Israel was in U.S. politics until pretty much this election. Really, not even then. Like when Israel went after Palestine and the entire world said, okay, that's when it became clear to me that Israel ran shit. Like, was actually in control. Whether it was direct control or blackmail control, I did not know how deep that particular rabbit hole went. I was quite ignorant. I thought prior to October 7th, 2023, I was still perpetuating a two-state solution between Israel and Palestine. I was ignorant of how bad everything was because there was no quote-unquote reason for me to be more knowledgeable, because foreign policy wasn't the driving force at the time. I was focusing more on just building a platform. I wasn't trying to do policy in every area. So I didn't research every facet of foreign relations, right? Had I even bothered, though, I would have learned about AIPAC, I would have learned about Nakba, I would have learned about, the fact that Israel's been committing genocide since 1948 against Palestinians. This time, it's just them not even trying to hide it anymore. So to your point, I am the dynamic between the U.S. and Israel, plus the fact that Israel was the one that pushed for the war in Iraq and Afghanistan, the global war on terror. Because the two towers, although we were going to retaliate in some way, form, or fashion, it took us a year before we actually mobilized. And it was because of Israeli pushing, aggression, pushing for it. So, yeah, no, the dynamic between, the U.S. and Israel, I think, has always been one where Israel calls the shots. Bam, is this working? Eh. Alright, so now I can address everybody. I think Israel is like partially in power of the USA. I would argue that Israel is controlling the USA because, again, AIPAC and their influence, the fact that they just flew out 250 legislators to Israel recently, and that everybody in this administration is already parroting Israel. Israel this, Israel that. We stand with Israel. Israel can do no wrong. It is a crime to say anything against Israel, but say whatever the fuck you want about America. No, I think we have been co-opted by a foreign power, which is one of the biggest no-nos in our country. I didn't put it all the way up. All right, now that's better. Sorry. And not just partially, they own most of our elected officials, right? So you covered that. She's a badass. I mean, Asata Shakur, everybody. I hope that most of the people involved are still alive when you become president so that they can be held accountable. Same. I mean, it was 1970-something, and she was 78. So, I can't imagine that there's going to be many that are still alive, but what few there are definitely getting it. And we will go back and posthumously charge these fuckers for crimes against humanity, and we will posthumously pardon and restore Asata Shakur's legacy in the United States. That is guaranteed what we will do. Maybe Israel wanted USA to be anti-Muslim. I don't know. I just find Israel always suspiciously involved with events related to Islamic terror like in 9/11. Yeah. No, Israel has been trying to strip the Middle East since Israel formed. And yes, as soon as Israel formed and America became involved with it, that's when the Middle East became America's problem. So that has been from the very beginning. I'm not even that white. It's because of the lighting in here. It's a dimmed window out there. My daughter says that Sam is not white. I'm still 80% Germanic. I mean, I don't know what to tell y'all. Asada's one of my heroes. She's one of my heroes, I tell you what. She took 2 bullets and was left to bleed out and still survived. Like, I don't know that I could... I'd be like, well, fuck, I'm done. I'm gonna try and live out of spite, but, like, I don't know if I got that much spite in me. Like, damn. I never heard of her, but I am apolitical and not an American. Well, we knew you were apolitical because it's in your name. She is the Francesca Albanese of the past. That's probably quite accurate. I don't know of any political activists that are literally threatened to the same degree. Maybe we could argue Snowden to a very, very small degree. I was thinking maybe also Greta Thunberg, but she's not, like, being terrorized. So yeah, I don't know who would be a good activist that has literally been forced to flee the United States. Since they are no longer legally allowed to do all that stuff to black people, they do it to Latinos by claiming that they are illegal, so they have no rights. Which is crazy because being illegal in America doesn't take away your rights that are guaranteed by the Constitution to all people. So even them claiming that they are illegal and therefore have no rights is false because the Constitution literally says unalienable rights, meaning everybody gets these rights. Everybody who steps foot on the United States of America has the same rights as everybody else within these walls, within these borders. Which is, again, something that isn't often covered or brought up, obviously. Or I should say we have no rights because in spite of being a U.S. citizen, the Supreme Court ruled that it's okay to racially discriminate against anyone who looks Latino. And I look definitely Latino. Yeah, no, the Supreme Court violating its own mandate of upholding the Constitution. I mean, slavery was legal, right? So was turning in freed slaves. So was sending slaves who had been freed, who had their papers, who made it to the North, and sending them back to the South. That was legal, all right? There's all sorts of shit that's legal in this country, or was legal in this country, that ain't anymore. And that doesn't mean that it's necessarily correct or even constitutional. And that's something that we really need to fucking hit hard. When Trump sat next to Netanyahu in USA, it looked like he was the president. Oh, yeah, no. Trump next to anybody looks like he's the toddler that is being welcomed into whatever setting the real leadership is. When he met with Putin, it looked like Putin was in charge. When he met with Netanyahu, it looked like Netanyahu was in charge. I think he met... Was he in the same room as Xi? I know that he met with, like, the Saudi princess, like, one of them, and he looked like he was completely out of place there as well. 80% Germanic is basically an illegal immigrant. Well, shit. Better watch out for ICE. Asata was pregnant while in jail. So she got shot, healed, knocked up, and then went to prison? That's fucked. What do Americans get promised when all illegal migrants are deported? That's the neat part. They're getting promised that everything will be better again in the country until the next enemy is figured out, and then the next one and the next one until it's only, you know, poor white people that are left working like slaves under their corporate masters. So the neat part is Americans don't get anything for it other than fascism. They think that they're getting jobs and that all of the benefits the illegals are getting will go to them. The problem is that most Americans don't want the jobs being performed by illegals, and undocumented immigrants don't get benefits. Correct. That's the thing, right? Immigrants, whether on paper or not, are always paid below the regular salary. Always. And if they are illegal workers, right, undocumented, then they are oftentimes not paid at all. They are threatened with deportation. It's like, all right, I'm not going to pay you. Well, you need to pay me. That's a crime. It's like, well, you being here is a crime. Or they'll threaten to hold their passports or not even allow them to leave and go back to their original country. So the cruelty and corruption that goes on with this is trying to, again, every social movement that has ever happened and every white supremacist movement that has happened in this country has always essentially tried to redefine slavery or recreate it. And that culminated in the Civil War, where slavery was abolished. So they had to find their slaves elsewhere, which meant with prison labor, that meant with illegal immigration, that meant with indentured servitude, that meant with something. But it was always amounting to free forced labor. And that hasn't changed to the present day. We should be getting paid 50% divvied up by the whole workforce, right? If our entire GDP is $24 trillion, and you divide that in half, you get 12 trillion, right? And then you divide that by the workforce, which is 155 million. Each person in America should be receiving, on average, a end of year or monthly bonus, whatever you want to shake it, that adds up to $77,419.35. based on our current GDP, which I don't think it's 24 trillion. I think the current US GDP is 28 trillion, actually. Oh, it's 29. So 29 divided by 2 is what, 14 and a half? So 14.5. Divided by 155. Oh, I'm sorry. We should be getting $93,548.39. So, let me repeat this. Every American worker should, on average, be receiving $93,548.39 for their labor, their contribution to the profit. Half of all generated revenue, technically. But, right, GDP is gross domestic product, right? So that would be technically revenue, not necessarily profit. You get where I'm going with this, right? We produce 93,000, and then I think when you do the profits, it's still a significant sum of that. So let's just call it 30%, right? 30,000. It doesn't matter what the number ends up being. The fact is, we are all wage slaves. Over 60% of Americans who are working live in poverty, and we should be getting tens of thousands of dollars back in the profit that we generate, and we don't. So it has nothing to do with illegals. It's nothing to do with black folks. It has nothing to do with Muslims. It has everything to do with capitalists, which is why my policies are anti-capitalism and pro-Ronanism. So, well, let me explain what that is for those of you who are new and may not be familiar with it. Ronanism is a combination of socialism and communism, the two scary words, in a way that actually benefits the people, right? Communism is state control of all industry and therefore surplus value. Socialism is where people are in control of all industry and all surplus value. Well, that's all well and dandy, right? But when you have 155 hands in the kitty, 155 million hands in the kitty, it starts getting a little wonky, right? Too many hands in the pot, causing problems, right? So the ideal situation then would be for public ownership of all industry, banking, medical, education, infrastructure, manufacturing, right? All of it is owned by the people, primarily owned by the people. But it is managed by the government through the consent of the people, like direct consent, meaning if the people do not like the way that the government is managing their resources, right? They're the people, then the people have the right to remove that person, RFK Jr., Pete Hegseth, whoever the fuck the wrestling lady is from the Department of Education. And I don't even know who the Department of Transportation Secretary is. And HUD. I don't know who that is either. But for instance, we would be able to be like, nope, those two are gone. They are no longer in charge of these various areas. And with that, the government has to comply because, again, the people own it. They also then own the profits. And the idea would be that the people agreed to a certain percentage of the profits being distributed to the government so that the government can provide the basic needs of the people, which would be infrastructure, healthcare, education, roads, utilities, so on and so forth, right? And that fundamentally is how things should run. The government should always serve the needs of the people. And if you get rid of corporations, or at the very least corporate leadership, if you get rid of the capitalist, right, the for-profit motivation, if you get rid of the for-profit mechanism in its entirety, then the only thing government can do is serve itself or serve the people. Well, if you give government the opportunity to choose, it's going to serve itself. And now you have the same profit motive, but for the sake of government, which is no different than capitalism. Hence why I don't necessarily believe that communism would be the solution to poverty and economic inequality. I also don't believe socialism would be purely the solution to the problem, because then you have a problem with distribution and hierarchy chains, right? You have a problem with that because, well, if we're all on the same level, then, well, I'm not going to listen to you. I don't have to listen to you. And then that breaks down, right? You still need infrastructure, and you still need hierarchy. You still need somebody to think and do, right? And an agreed upon way to do that, which tends to be government when we're talking about nations. So, people own the means of production. They own all the profits. They get to determine all that shit, right? Their rights are guaranteed because they control that shit. And the government facilitates all those things through the consent of the governed. What takes it a step further is the fact that my administration is going to pass legislation that guarantees unalienable rights as a second Bill of Rights, which would be your healthcare, your education, your housing, your guaranteed minimum wage, guaranteed retirement, right? All of these things, guaranteed access to utilities, water, food, so on and so forth, right? Labor rights will be enshrined in this second Bill of Rights. It'll be guaranteed, which then turns government into essentially a true defined administration. You have your logistics administration. You have your distribution. Well, that would be logistics. You'd have your industrial administration, which determines inputs, outputs. And then you have the actual admin, the literal HR aspect of it, taking care of people and making sure that the monies get sent to where the monies need to go. That's the difference between socialism, communism, mixtures of socialism and communism, and Ronanism, which takes the elements, the best elements of socialism, the best elements of communism, and the best elements of democracy, and codifies them into an actual form of government. So we are losing jobs that Americans did not want to do. Correct. And they're not being replaced because Americans don't want to do them, and then when they try, they really don't want to do them. The farmers are crying about it. That's why Trump said they'd stop targeting farms for ICE raids, and yet they I don't think they actually did. And if they did, it's only not being reported as much. Restaurants are understaffed, cleaning companies are understaffed, right? Like, every major labor industry is understaffed because of these ICE raids. Every time I spend thinking about the world, conservatism makes less sense to me. Facts. And the worst part is, when I first got into politics, I thought I was a conservative because I was like, oh yeah, I want to make sure people have access to healthcare and education and roads, clean drinking water. I think we need to regulate businesses and industries. Yeah, we should have better trade relationships with our foreign neighbors. We should improve interracial and cultural differences so that we can become the true melting pot of the country. Yada, 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 right? And then I looked up all of those policies and which party that actually fell under, and it was the Democrats. Granted, on paper. Back in 2013 or whatever. And I was like, well, that's odd. Why would well, then what does the Conservative Party stand for? And it's like money, 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 capitalism, money, money, pedophilia, money, 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 racism, money, 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 transphobia, money, 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 xenophobia. And I'm like, oh, well, that's weird, because I thought we fought a war over this in the 1940s against a very specific group of people who espoused all these things, and we unequivocally agreed that those things were bad. And to the point where now not both parties believe in the same shit. It's just the Democrats are trying to be shy about it. Like, oh, we're not racist, but we're willing to sacrifice the transgenders. Oh, we're not transphobic, but we're willing to sacrifice the immigrants. Oh, we're not anti-immigrant, but we're definitely willing to sacrifice Palestinians. Oh, we're not anti-Semitic and we care about the genocide that's happening in the Middle East, but we're not going to stop funding Israel. Right? So Democrats are literally literally the problem. Like, not figuratively, not metaphorically, no hyperbole. They are and I would argue that they are worse because they are aiding and abetting the party that is doing it overtly while pretending they are not supporting it. Except every piece of legislation that this administration wanted passed has gotten passed. Every nomination they wanted got nominated. Every meaningful check or balance to this administration has been curbed with Democratic support. So, no. Democrats are very much so complicit. Have you ever done a political compass? Yeah. So, like, if you do the grid, right? And then, like, it's fascism and, like, democratic socialism, true socialism, and, like, libertarianism. I'm, like, in the middle of the green square consistently. I wouldn't say Anna's slightly left of me, but she is to the left of me. She's a little bit more revolutionary than I am. Yeah, I think Anna tends more towards socialism than communism, which is crazy because communists and socialists butt heads so often, and it's like, buddy, they don't like us either, so why are we arguing, okay? Let's work together, and then we can carve out the details later. Like, first we need to win, right? We can have the philosophical debate about which one's better after we win. But if we keep fighting each other, we're never going to fucking win. Which is also why I say I'm not a communist nor a socialist. And I believe in infrastructure. So I do believe in hierarchy chains. I do believe in them. Maybe because I was in the military. I don't fucking know. Maybe because I got German heritage and we love structure. Maybe because I'm autistic. I don't fucking know. I love my spreadsheets. I don't know. One of those three things, though, makes me really, really love things being in a nice whatever. And I truly believe that if people own the means of production and have their guaranteed rights with guaranteed levers to pull, right? Like making it extremely easy to recall bad actor elected officials or immediately remove them from office by law. It's like, oh, you're going to try and be discriminatory? Well, you have just revoked your position and you shall be arrested. And if the cops don't arrest you, they'll get arrested until somebody actually does their fucking job and arrests you for being a piece of shit. Right? So I believe in that strongly. That there needs to be far more fail-safes put into place to actually preserve freedom. Because freedom is very clearly not free, and it's very clearly not a guarantee. Right, let's beat the fascists, and then we can fight. Economic left-right, negative 8.3, negative 3.95. It's okay, liberal. Apolitical. Once you're in this stream long enough, we'll radicalize you. All right. Let me smaller this again, and then we can get back to the stream. Oh!
So an ICE officer...
This is what I think it is. Viewer discretion is advised.
Is relieved of current duties after a violent confrontation with a woman whose husband had just been detained in New York. The whole thing caught on camera.
Okay. Not the one I was thinking of. I thought it was the little girl again. This is still difficult to watch, so viewer discretion still is advised.
Oh my God.
So that was the clip. It went from Where was any of that justified? Granted, this guy did get relieved of his duties. But this is how ICE typically treats protesters, detainees, people that are just there, their family members, children. This is how ICE acts. Immediate aggression, violence. There was, again, the only thing that happened here, is that this lady approached him distraught, and he immediately goes from, fuck you, puta, to shoving this lady and wrestling her to the ground. Like, where does this fucking come from? And why is this acceptable? And again, he did lose his job, or at the very least, is relieved of current duties, which doesn't sound like he's fired, just means he's on administrative leave or whatever. This is happening everywhere in America where ICE actions are happening. This is how police are engaging with communities of color across the country. Explain to me how this is justified use of force. Explain to me what did this woman do to justify this level of violence? Any level of violence. Granted, most police interactions, to include ICE interactions, have no justification for violence whatsoever. If somebody runs, okay. If somebody's in your face, shouting, screaming, spitting on you, hate to break it to you, motherfucker, it's not an excuse to get violent when it is your job to be preserving the peace, to de-escalate situations. But that's not who we have in these positions. That's not what these positions represent anymore. That is no longer the function nor the purpose of any law enforcement agency, federal, state, or local. It is about compliance, of cracking down on dissenting populations. It's about fear and intimidation. And sure, sometimes it's as simple as, you were speeding, I'm going to pull you over. Hey, don't do that again, be on your way. If you get a decent cop, if you're lucky, and if you're white. Chances are, if you are not a white man and you get pulled over, chances are extremely high you're getting a ticket. And that's just the statistical reality. And now, there is almost a 100% possibility that if you're Latino and anywhere in the proximity of an ICE agent, you're going to be kidnapped and trafficked. And if you try and approach the ICE agent, like, hey, where's the fucking warrant? You're going to be brutally assaulted. And 99 times out of 100, not a fucking thing's going to come of that. Folks, I don't know how to explain this to you any other way. That only exists in an authoritarian state. That behavior, this behavior, does not exist in a functioning democracy. It cannot exist in a functioning democracy. Because in a functioning democracy, this motherfucker would never have been hired in the first place. And she wouldn't be in a situation to be distraught about her husband being kidnapped off the street in the first place. In a functioning democracy, this scenario never happens. In my administration, this scenario never fucking happens. Because in my administration, this piece of shit and every single one of ICE agents in America, and every single cop, and every single agent, and every single whoever aided and abetted ICE agents will have been sent to their own version of the Nuremberg trials. And when every single one of these fuckers claimed, well, I was just following orders, they are getting the death penalty. That is my promise as president. That is when I win Congress, that is one of the first things I am going to advocate for. And if I can't achieve it in Congress, obviously, I will carry that threat to its fruition, in its totality, against these Nazi scum. There are so many ways to handle this problem. I'm choosing violence. I do not personally believe you can reform this. I don't think this right here.
Oh my God.
Not that I'm going to keep it there, because that's a distressing picture. Oh, I don't want her staring at me either. That's weird. Can you not? Son of a bitch.
And had just been detained in New York.
Hold
the
on.
Whole
I don't
thing
want this lady staring
caught
at
on
me.
camera.
It's giving me the heebie-jeebies. All right, that's what I want. All right, anyway. All silliness aside, what we just saw, that act of violence, you can't train that away. You can't use the force training that away. You can't... What's the fucking... You can't sensitivity training that away. That is a malfunction of the brain. That's psychopathy. That is literally joining a institution that gives you the authority and the ability to violently engage with people you don't like. You're not re-education camp training that shit. Okay, maybe I will show it. That is not something you unlearn. And see those two motherfuckers? Those two motherfuckers that are just kind of watching? Cowardice. Cowardice in the face of injustice. Cowardice in the face of unconstitutional behavior. I don't want them in my fucking country. They might not get the death penalty. Sure, fine. Because they didn't do anything particularly wrong. They're not necessarily ICE agents. Maybe somebody like them could get reformed. Maybe. But if push comes to shove, I'm choosing violence. Because they chose violence. They chose violence against innocent men, women, and most importantly, which is something I'm shocked to even have to say, they chose violence against children. They have been kidnapping children, holding them hostage as a fucking lure against their parents or other adult family members. They have been kidnapping children out of the first fucking grade classroom. And yes, handcuffing them. And yes, slamming them to the ground. And yes, putting them into holding cells with other adults in cramped, unsanitary, unsafe, unhealthy conditions. Again, ICE and the Nazi Gestapo, the Einsatztruppen, better known as SS, there is no difference. Overcrowded detention centers is Auschwitz. It is Dachau. It is labor camps. It is concentration camps. There is no other argument or explanation. When you see this, and you are not filled with bright red, blood-curdling rage, if you see this, and the first thought that goes through your mind isn't scum, douchebag, motherfucker, death, torture, suffering, may God have mercy on your soul, for I shall have none, demon. If those aren't the first thoughts that go through your mind, but instead it's like, well, she had it coming, she shouldn't have resisted, anything that isn't unequivocal hatred and disdain for this guy and what he did, I hate to break it to you, actually I don't, you would have been a Nazi supporter in Germany. Because this is what the Nazis did to the Jews. This is literally what the Nazis did to the German Jewish population. And of course the autistics and the trans and everybody else who wasn't Aryan, right? This is exactly what the Gestapo did, exactly what the SS did to the people that have been deemed other. They ripped them out of their fucking houses, kicking, screaming, begging, pleading to their neighbors, to their friends, to their family, to anyone who would listen. Save me, help me, help me. I did nothing wrong. And these same videos are being played on YouTube and the news every fucking day. And we have a third of the population of America going, yep, they should have done it right. Did better. And I'm sorry, but I have no sympathy and absolutely no fucking mercy for people like that. So, I don't know what happened to my mouse. Well, I'm not blinding myself with the red, so did my mouse die? Are you kidding me? Hello? You know, these are brand new batteries too, so like I don't fucking know. Come on. Well, there's our technical difficulty for the day. You've got to be shitting me. Since when does a mouse go through AA batteries like this? I don't even know where I have my batteries. Are you fucking serious? I thought I kept the batteries nearby in case shit like this happened. Oh my god. Why am I like this? Am I right? Okay. Oh, that's right. I don't have a fucking mouse. God damn it. Well. Let's see. Keyboard shortcuts. Yeah, I don't think that's going to work for me. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, wait, no, 2. All right, what if 3? All right, we're gonna this is a lot harder than I thought it was gonna be. All right, so I'm gonna look for a battery real quick. $12 years. 12 years. Yeah. And by the way, batteries have expiration dates, right? And where the fuck is it? Really? You're not going to tell me when it was... Oh. Can you see that? I guess. Well, it says March 2034. Which is very clearly not how much power I've been getting. Unbelievable. Bruh, are you kidding? What the fuck? Dude. Am I stupid? I mean, I might. That literally didn't work, did it? Do I need a new mouse? I mean, okay, so bad. Too bad. All right. March 2036. You have got to be shitting me right now. Are you fucking serious? Am I being punked right now? Okay. I mean, theoretically, it can't be every fucking battery be the problem, right? I mean, at this point, I'm wondering if the mouse is actually dead. The fuck? Oh, all right. I might need a new mouse, though. Jesus. Okay. That was, weird. To say the least. Okay. I guess I think I bought this mouse in 2021 when I got my whole computer thing. So I guess the Razer Basilisk X Hyperspeed lasts 4 or 5 years, and then you need a new one. You know, good thing they're so goddamn cheap, right? Only $80 fucking for a high performance gaming mouse, right? No big deal. Fucking A. Wow. Yeah. And then, if you get the Razer Basilisk, whatever, the one with all the pretty colors on it, oh yeah, that's like $150 or more. First of all, you shut your whore fucking mouth, political, okay? You shut your whore fucking mouth. I am not old. I am presidential. And also, do you not see how big my hands are? Like, okay, I think this is 6 inches, right? 7 inches? No, 6 inches. What's a good example? Okay. Xbox controller, right? Like, this is how big my hand is, okay? I need big mice. Can't exactly use the little itty bitty ones. Alright. Yeah, but Anna, you're like 3 inches taller than a garden gnome. Anna, I don't know what 6 inches looks like because men lie. Yeah, well, I don't need 12 buttons on the side because I have another hand that can use a keypad, so your dad's a loser. Plus, I have big thumbs, so that doesn't help me either. All right. These idiots think anything said is hating the country, but one could say blasting their criticism is hating the country because it allows people to say stuff an idiot, like Laura says, boo to. No, you're absolutely right, pop culture, and that's the problem with conservative logic, is that the only free speech that is valid is theirs, and everything else is undermining and persecuting them. And it's like, no, that's definitely not how that works. But I could see why you'd be confused in thinking that that is the case. And well, that's the problem. I mean, at the end of the day, that is the problem. Is that conservatives are trying to censor anything that goes against their reality while claiming that they're the ones being censored by some arbitrary left-wing media, which is just... Every piece of media is owned by conservatives. There is no left-wing media. If there were, we wouldn't be dealing with fascism. So, also, welcome to the stream, Pop. I don't know if I said that earlier. Thank you for joining us. Conservatives can say all kinds of horrible shit about the country, but when we can criticize, we're the haters. Or when we criticize them, now we're criticizing their religion and their beliefs and their values and their opinions. And it's like, oh, I'm sorry. I don't remember when we allowed white supremacy to be a religion and or to be a valid opinion in politics. But I digress a little bit. Moving back to the stream. God forbid what we're doing here. Is this the second video of the night? And it's 8:40. Damn. We are not making good time. But
all right, the city of Portland, the state of Oregon, suing the Trump administration to block deployment of hundreds of National Guard troops to Portland. The president...
Oh, are they going to show that? Because I don't know if y'all saw that video. There was a video of like 8 by 15 ICE agents, so like a group of 8 across, 15 deep, which is what? 120? If I did my math right? 120 ICE agents, and then there's like some sort of like military looking vehicle behind them just rolling through the streets. I wonder if this is what they're talking about or if that was someplace else, or if it happened in multiple places, because that's insane.
It says he's doing it to protect ICE facilities. With us now, CNN chief data analyst Harry. And the administration clearly thinks this is a winning issue for them as they keep on doing it and leaning in. What do the polls say?
Yeah, this is fact check time. You know, the idea, we're going to be hawkish on crime.
This is another reason why I say we don't have any opposition. How is this any different from Fox News being petty on air? I'm on CNN and I'm a CNN anchor and moderator. Like, dude, you're acting like a fucking child the same way you're blaming them. Let's see if the numbers are... Let's fact check. That's my job. Dare I say it, that's Hassan's job. Dare I say it, that's the Young Turks' job. If Amy Goodman were actually petty, it would be her job. But you are a syndicated network journalist and data... whatever the fuck he called you. Are you fucking serious? Act your fucking role.
We're going to be hawkish on immigration. It's good for us. But in fact, not necessarily. What are we talking about here? All right, Trump deploying National Guards to cities in the United States of America. Look at this. Just 42% of Americans support that idea of...
Yeah. 42% of America supports deploying National Guard to cities. That's a fucking disturbingly high number of human beings, considering there are 330 million Americans, 270 million of which are of voting age. And this isn't between Republicans and Democrats. This is supposedly people in America. Okay? Nearly half this country is like martial law. That's a fucking problem.
Sending troops into cities like Portland. What about the opposition? Look at this. It's the lion's share. 58% opposed, and we're talking about 64% of independents who are opposed. So
here's the thing, too. Independents, or does not vote, dramatically do not support this issue, right? Do not support this, which is great. That is very reassuring. But these numbers, right, still paint a very stark picture. Because if 58% don't oppose and 42% support, but 64% of independents do oppose, that means of the does not vote majority, right, which is the majority of voters in America does not vote, they are still watered down enough by your typical voters to drop opposition by 6 points. And that is a freakishly high number of support and a freakishly low number of opposed. Again, in a functioning democracy, it would be 97% oppose and only 3% support. And those 3% would probably want to be looked into. Like, why do you support fascism? Also, functioning democracy, this would never be happening. So the fact that this is a thing that has to be asked, and it's a thing that's happening, is evidence that we do not have a functioning democracy, because this is batshit.
Donald Trump thinks that potentially sending in the National Guard into cities like Portland is a winning political issue. The polling says, you are wrong, Mr. President.
The most analogous situation is what happened in Los Angeles, correct? What happened to the numbers there after the president did that then?
Yeah, we've heard this music before, right? We've heard this song before. And what happened the last time that Trump sent National Guards into a western city? Well, take a look at the change in Trump's net approval. Overall, it dropped 4 points. How about on immigration, which of course those protests were about? Look at that. It dropped by 7 points. So we have...
See, I think we're done with this video because this guy's getting on my nerves. But Apolitical kind of hit the nail on the head. He really likes drawing. And the part of I don't get it. Like, this guy is just being like, told you so, told you so. If I told you so worked in politics, Trump wouldn't have gotten elected the first time. He just straight up wouldn't have. Granted, we really didn't need a Hillary presidency either. But again, if I told you so worked, in 2020, Bernie Sanders would have been president. Because if I told you so worked, everybody on the left would have been like, I fucking told you so. We don't want Hillary. We don't want establishment Democrats. We want socialism, democratic socialism. And if you don't give it to us, you're going to get Trump. And and what did we get? What did we get? We got Trump. So if I told you so worked, it would be driving us to the left at an astronomical rate, because everybody who says, I told you so, tends to be on the left. Left-leaning at the very least. I mean, liberals are technically left, but not the same left. What makes them think they won't ever become a victim of a stupid ruler with that much power? That's the question of the day, isn't it? Why do conservatives support fascism when they themselves can very easily become the victims of fascism? And the answer that has been given, according to studies and science and all that fun stuff, is that they don't care about that it could happen to them. They care that it is happening to others first. So this goes back to white supremacy. It's not about winning. It's so much that they cannot, right? It's about them losing. It's about somebody else suffering, even if I'm losing. That's the mentality of fascists and of the Trump supporters. You live in a country ruled by the result of I told you so. Yeah. If fuck around and find out was a country, it would be the United States of America. And we are definitely in the find out phase. All right, what do we got going on here?
Yeah, Terrell and Tiny, that's exactly right. We're at the intersection of 25th and Harvard here in Broadview. What you're taking a live look at right now is essentially a standoff between these federal immigration agents and demonstrators who've been here since 5 o'clock in the morning. Really quickly, just to paint you a picture as to what's happened. These demonstrators were farther down this road right here, but have essentially been pushed back by federal.
Why are ICE agents dressed like they're going to Fallujah? Mind you, the cops are dressed in their regular uniform. Granted, it's a hot day to be wearing black, but all they're wearing is their flak vest and their their issued firearms. Granted, having police there and ICE agents there isn't exactly a de-escalation situation. But you got regular uniformed cops, not concerned, and then you got the active duty Call of Duty special right here. Make it make sense.
Obviously leading to very tense moments.
And that looks like it's a grenade launcher.
The demonstrators to where they are right now, obviously leading.
Like, look at that. That is a grenade launcher. Now, granted, it's probably like gas, tear gas, which is a war crime to use against civilians. It's actually banned in the Geneva Conventions, but okay. We just use tear gas against civilians every single chance we get because we're America. Or because we're the government and we want to disperse crowds. So even though tear gas is illegal in war, we're going to go ahead and use it against our populations.
To very tense moments today.
I believe that we will win!
Tensions spike as anti-ICE demonstrators come face to face with federal agents.
I believe that we will win!
Heated protesters try to block a federal immigration SUV as they hit the hood and yell at the driver, trying to reach the Broadview ICE processing facility. The SUV not stopping as emotions among demonstrators reach a boiling point after weeks of protests here.
This is not the type of action our law enforcement agencies, whether local or federal, should be conducting on U.S. soil.
Army veteran Roger Lonergan has demonstrated here for weeks. Lonergan says he's serving his country once again, not in the military, but alongside these protesters.
Which is exactly what we should be seeing everywhere. That is exactly the right response for veterans. Granted, I'm a veteran. Granted, I would be more than happy to support these protests, but I know I am not emotionally stable enough to not want to become violent in that situation, which is why I don't go to these protests. That being said, the fact that there are veterans standing with these protesters is exactly the kind of solidarity we need to see, because the military is often seen as the violent arm of the government, right? Because more often than not, it is. So when you see veterans say, fuck that, I'm not going to be a part of this fascism, I'm not going to be a part of this corruption, I swore an oath to protect and defend the Constitution from all enemies, both foreign and domestic. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. Because oaths don't go away after you swear them. And that's something that is lost in modern society. Oh, I'm going to swear this oath and then it just doesn't matter. It's like, no, it does matter if you're not a piece of shit. If you are a piece of shit, sure, fine, oaths don't matter. But we also don't live in a society that is governed by, for lack of a better word, chivalry. There needs to be a better word. Honor might be there, like codes of honor. We don't have a society like that anymore. And so this idea of oath, I swear an oath to my country to protect and defend, that I will lay down my life in service to the same, right? That means something. It should. It did for me. And it obviously did for this guy. So, more of this, please. Let's rephrase. More resistance like this, please. The fact that they've been protesting for weeks, outstanding. 90 days is apparently the timeline that it takes for a direct action to force a government entity to capitulate. But the missing factor is 3% of a population. You need 3% of a population dissenting and demonstrating for about 90 days to force government action. Obviously, if you have more than 3%, you can cut that time down. But it's like every 3%, right? 3% to 90 days, that ratio is pretty much what you want. So if you get more percent, you need less days. If you have less percent, you need more days, right?
Really what standing up for democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like.
It's not always putting on uniforms and going overseas.
Near the intersection of South 25th Avenue and Harvard, demonstrators could be seen gathering down the street near gates leading to the Broadview facility. At some points, a chemical gas was deployed among the crowd to disperse the protesters.
Which is a crime that violates the First Amendment right to protest. Again, every single time a cop, a federal agency, or a goddamn National Guardsman does anything to interfere with a peaceful protest, the person that's doing the interfering is the criminal. My administration, using Ronanism, would brutally punish any law enforcement agency, which would still exist under my administration, but there's nuance to it. Anna, if you're still on the stream, could you share my police reform policy in chat, or apolitical or pop culture? If you could just share that in chat for people. I reorganize law enforcement so that if they ever act out of pocket, they get the death penalty. Because their purpose is to serve and protect. Their purpose is to investigate crimes, not to terrorize communities, right? And protesting, right? If a government is doing something that results in a population protesting them, and it's not something stupid like we want the Death Star, right? Then what a protest should result in is the government fucking listening. And it only gets to the point of a protest because people reaching out in the news reporting it, and people, again, reaching out, like through calls and emails and all that, are being ignored. So when you ignore people who are like, hey, I'm here at this meeting and you shouldn't be doing this, what the fuck is going on here? Then it leads to protest. Because the government doesn't listen to the people. The government exists due to the consent at the pleasure of the people. And our government, our institutions have gotten very, 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 very far away from that because it's corporations who now control the government and ignore the people. My administration will absolutely codify into law a shit ton of both legislative and safety levers mechanisms to prevent hostile takeover of our government from bad actors, so that people can be more active in their government and be more forceful in being heard, right? So, thank you, Anna, for posting that. Federalization of standards, adherence to federal standards, demilitarization of law enforcement, refocus on criminal issues, federal funding of the federal police program. Those are the main points. They are. And any violation thereof always is met with the death penalty. Death penalty. Sam, why do you have such a raging hard-on for murder? Well, why do they have such a fucking hard-on for murder? You know how many times these cops have actually killed protesters? You know how many times these cops have actually severely injured protesters? Do you know how many times ICE agents have disappeared people and gotten them killed? You know how many people have died in ICE custody? What happened to the 1,200 from Florida's Auschwitz? Right? Why is it that our military, our law enforcement, and our federal agents can unilaterally murder citizens extrajudicially, go through dog and pony show judicial reviews and trials with unmitigated racist juries that have no hint of neutrality? Why can we erect violence institutionally that results in the death of thousands of people every single year, either directly from the violence or indirectly for measures that create poverty in communities of color? People die due to lack of health care. People die due to mistreatment during healthcare procedures. People die because of police and because of federal agents. People are fucking dying left, right, and center by our government and the policies that are pursued by this government. Disproportionately if you're black, and even more disproportionately if you're black and a woman. And then if you're Latina and a woman, or Asian and a woman, Muslim and a woman, or the one that gets killed the most, indigenous and a woman, all of a sudden, oh, it's not that big of a deal. So Sam, why are you so concerned with the death penalty for state actors? Well, because they are very keen on murdering citizens with absolute impunity. And maybe that's very not cash money of me. That's certainly not Jesus Christ, the light, the way, the path, the journey. But I guess I'm not a very good Catholic, and I'm not going to flagellate myself and ask for a few Hail Marys. My job is to ensure that the American people can live in a country that isn't actively trying to kill them. And if I have to crack a few skulls, I mean eggs, to make that omelet, so be it. Are people who voted for Trump also responsible for them? Yes, absolutely. 100%. They are culpable. But obviously, I'm not going to, go after, half the population of the country. Like that. I'm not going to do that. But that's where cultural change, societal shifts, right? Legislative management comes into play. We have to punish and hold accountable the bad actors. Like that is non-negotiable. The people who are doing the bad thing, they have gots to go, because otherwise they are a threat, right? By not universally condemning Nazism, white supremacy, racism, homophobia, xenophobia, Islamophobia, right? Transphobia. By not universally reviling that in our culture, never mind legislatively, right? Because it is against the law to do those things. But culturally, well, evidently, you can be an out and proud Nazi and then end up being one of the president's most closest confidants, right? or the wealthiest person on earth. So the fact that socially and culturally we haven't treated racism, discrimination, bigotry the same way we treat cannibalism is the thing that we would need to fix culturally and socially. And that can be done to the general population. That can be broadly deprogramming folks. But the ICE agents, the cops, the soldiers, the leadership, nah, got nothing for them. Absolutely nothing for them.
But tensions also flaring in Chicago as protesters take to the streets. Demonstrators critical of ICE and its tactics. And Chicago, not the only Illinois city where folks are speaking their mind tonight. In Broadview, just outside of Chicago, protesters clashing with ICE agents today. One man arrested as News Nation cameras were rolling. At least 2 protesters have been arrested. ICE saying that it has arrested 40 migrants today. News Nation's Mills Hayes live for us there in Broadview, where the mayor...
I'm just saying, if you're a reporter and you need to wear a gas mask on American soil because the thing that you're reporting involves militarized agencies, federal agencies, or police that are using chemical weapons on American soil against Americans, that's not big brain shit, folks. If you have to wear a gas mask as a reporter to cover a story involving police or federal agencies engaging with civilians, as a person, you should be thinking, wow, that's not the way things should be going. Also, you want to talk about completely unnecessary dogpiling somebody to arrest them. For what? Protesting? I think I already covered this. Every single one of these agents trying to prevent this person from protesting is the one breaking the law. And we need to start pushing that. We need to start being very loud and vocal about the fact that they are the ones breaking the law, not us. Not by protesting, but by arresting us, they are violating the law. And I get it. My 4 viewers, my 6 viewers, my 12 viewers, right? My 31,000 interactions on Facebook. I'm a fucking nobody, speaking to a very small crowd. And luckily, I've been getting a lot of views after posting on YouTube. So 939 viewers, let's go. 11 on shorts, let's go, right? I have a very small audience right now, a very, very small platform. But I'm certainly encouraging y'all to go out there and do what's needed, right? Now imagine I bring the same energy to the chambers of Congress. And I call for citizens to stand up against police. That police arresting you, exercising your right to peacefully protest, is a crime. The police are committing the crime. And you have the right to resist unlawful detention. Because you have the right to due process. And you have the right to free speech. And the right to protest. And if a journalist is targeted, because we've seen that happening, we have a free press. It's a guaranteed right. It's the First Amendment in our Bill of Rights. And any entity that would violate that is committing a crime. Now, imagine the weight that would carry from a U.S. congressman. That's my motivation for getting into Congress. Could give a shit less about the platform, and the cheering masses. What I care about is being able to reach people and letting them know that they have the right to resist this fuckery. They, if I may be so bold, the duty and obligation to resist this fuckery. Because fascism has no place in America. And although the founding fathers didn't know what fascism was, they did know what tyranny was. And they used that word in the Constitution. And that is why they wrote those rights. Those inalienable rights. So, yes, what those cops are doing is a crime. What's happening to that guy is a crime. Am I telling you to go up against 6 armed, angry, violent agents by yourself and de-arrest this guy? No. Am I telling you to grab a prop and de-arrest that guy? No. What I am telling you is that we need to be significantly more vocal about the fact that what we are seeing in this clip is a crime against Americans exercising their rights. And the more we can push that fact into the public narrative, the sooner this shit stops happening. I don't feel the same smoke of killing them all, even though it makes me really mad. Maybe it's just because it's far away from me. Well, and you're not violent. I am violent. Have you had trouble with the police before the arrest thing? You seem like a man that always gets in trouble with I've never gotten into trouble with the police before that or after that, because I try to avoid the police as much as possible now, and I'm not as confrontational when I do, unfortunately, engage with police, because apparently the criminal justice system doesn't exist anymore for defending yourself or exercising your rights. But yeah, I guess I have had a slight history of problems with authority. You're like the kid at school always resisting against his teacher. I mean, again, that may or may not have been accurate. When Hitler was in power, it was not like being against Hitler and resisting was allowed. Exactly. I mean, that's the thing. If you cannot resist your government, you're not in a free country, right? And this shit's been going on. We just talked about it with Asata Shakur. It's not like this is new, right? Asata was literally terrorized, literally demonized, and then set up in a trial to fall, and then she was tortured in prison and sent to a men's facility. Like, that part fucking gets me. So, it's not like this country has been free for a very long time, if we have ever been free. Right? And there's growing arguments saying that we were never a free country unless you were a white landowning male. Right. After it's seen as resistance. And yeah, Anna, I'm violent against tyrants. All right.
Dr. Roberts joined us in July 2023 and has held educational leadership positions in districts across the U.S. for 20 years. The Iowa Board of Educational Examiners issued Dr. Roberts a license to serve as superintendent in the state of Iowa in July 2023. There is new information that has been made public that we did not know, and we have not been able to verify as to whether that information is accurate.
We stand firm with our community.
Okay, so we did watch this one. Or did we not? Or did I watch? I must have watched this on my own because it looks like I already watched it on YouTube. This lady seems like a bit of a Karen, though. She's like, he's been a good man. We support the work that he's done, but we've received information and we haven't verified it yet. It's like, Karen, stand by your man, your guy, your person that you're defending. Don't make it sound like you're open to the suggestion that he might be an illegal immigrant. You fucking bitch.
Sad, outraged, and helpless. We understand as we too are devastated by the news of his detainment. However, this does not stop our important work, and we will continue to provide outstanding education to the students in our community. Know this, we have protocols and processes in place to address this type of situation. We have leaders who will continue to show up in a way that communicates care, empathy, service, and action. We will lead with love and care for the dignity of human beings in Des Moines and across our country. This is challenging on many levels, and the reality is that we may not have additional answers right away. However, the strength of Des Moines Public Schools is in its people, our leaders, educators, and staff who will continue to advance the mission on behalf of our students and families as we wait for clarity in what comes next.
Well, even Matt started off strong, but even he kind of fizzled there in the end. Like, why is it so hard to stand beside your peer who is very clearly being targeted for not just being an immigrant, but clearly a black immigrant? How hard is it to say unequivocally, this is horseshit, my boy did nothing wrong, free Ian Roberts, and fuck Donald Trump? How hard is it to say that? You know, real talk, I work with a Mexican immigrant. I work with a man who has a visa. I thought he was just Hispanic, and I asked him one day, I'm like, hey man, so how's this affecting you and your family? Like, this has got to be pretty scary. He's like, yeah, it is. I'm like, yeah, man, I can only imagine what it's like being Latino in America. He's like, oh, no, I'm Mexican. I'm like, what do you mean? It's like, I'm here on visa, bro. And I'm like, are you shitting me? So the second thing that came out of my mouth was, well, shit, is there anything I can do? Are you okay? Do you have a plan? Is this actually happening in your neighborhood? Like, what can I do? And he's like, there's nothing you can do. But me and my family are talking about it, and we have a plan, and we have a strategy. And if the thing happens, then the thing happens. And I'm like, shit. So for the next few days, couple weeks, I kept saying, hey, you made it. And he's like, hey, I made it. So, you know, we laughed it off. But, like, the reality is, this hits close to home. No matter where you work, chances are you're going to be working with a Latino. Why? Because they are 1/5 of this fucking population. 1 in 5 people is a Latino in America. Meaning 1 in 5 workers is a Latino in America. Across all industries. Sure, some industries might have more than others, but that's not the point, is it? Where I work in manufacturing, there's whole shifts dedicated to being Latino. So the reality is, this behavior, targeting of migrants, of immigrants, of people who are here trying to just live their fucking lives, is not 7 steps removed. It is literally the people you see every single day. And it's a fucking problem that the response from your peers and your coworkers is, well, this is bad and we stand with you, but the show must go on and we will continue to fight for the show. And then we'll let you know what happens with this guy later. Like, if you cannot universally defend your compatriot, like, then what the fuck are you even doing? So, my boy did nothing wrong. Yeah, he didn't. He's been an educator for 20 years. If he did something wrong, he would have done it within those 20 years. Like, let's be fucking honest. So hold on a second. I want to see something. That worked. Fuck yeah. My boy did nothing wrong. Exactly. I'm violent against tyrants, but after it's seen as resistance. Holy shit. That's crazy. That's kind of cool. I'm a little bit, that's not good. Okay. That's a bit of an issue. So I guess, so that worked, but it won't work the way I wanted it to work. Dang. Okay. That's okay, though. It's okay. Yeah, I don't want to shrink the chat. I just wanted to be able to... Oh, well. I had my bit of fun. If the USA was always a moral nation, I don't think Mexicans would need to come to the U.S. illegally. Well, that's the neat part. After the Mexican-American War, when we took the land from Mexico because America won, Mexicans became Americans overnight. And so a majority of the Mexican Latino population in America are literally the same indigenous population from Mexico. And the people that are crossing the border are still Mexicans, but they're indigenous people that are looking for work and meeting with long-lost relatives or communities. So if you really think about it, the fact that there's borders between our country and Mexico at all has nothing to do with the bearing of the actual demographics that are being affected in the West and in the South. Because pretty much from Texas, like, and over and up to the East Coast, or West Coast, I mean, was Mexico. So, I didn't know the war. I just mean the USA probably fucked over Mexico a bunch of times. Well, yeah, and then after the war, too. Instead of helping them become a developed nation. Well, that's the thing. What is a developed nation? Right? Because if America's a developed nation, but Mexico has universal healthcare, education, helping with housing crises, and dealing, like, improving infrastructure, then who's the developed nation? Look at China. China's not, or wasn't considered a developed nation, and then over the course of 20 years, they built 18,000 kilometers of high-speed rail and created more solar last year, or no, this year, to date this year, I should say, than existed in the entire United States last year. So, who's the developed nation? America? With no high-speed rail and a very fledgling solar power system? Or China? That also has universal healthcare, I believe.
But we begin with KCCI's Kayla James, who's at a protest at the federal building. And Kayla, there is a strong response there to Dr. Roberts' arrest.
And Laura and Ben, that response just keeps getting stronger.
Look at
now.
that.
This demonstration started at 4
Look
p.m.
at that fucking
and,
crowd.
you know, like I said back then, there were more than 100 people. Now we know for sure that there's easily more than 200 people, and there's people from across the metro area who are here, including some teachers that I spoke with, both DMPS teachers as well as some teachers who told me they are not within Des Moines Public Schools District. There are also students here. We saw a few signs, one saying release our superintendent, held by a young girl. Now, people have talked to us, and they're talking about just the work that Dr. Ian Roberts has done for Des Moines Public Schools and how grateful they are, which is why some say they were shocked and upset.
It actually
at
seems
the
like
fact
way
that
more than
he has
200
been
people.
detained earlier this morning. We've also heard a few different chants, including free Dr. Roberts,
I
and
prefer
no
my ice
justice, no
cream.
peace. But after every more generic chant, it always goes
Lead
back
us not into
to
detention,
Dr. Roberts.
but
Now, we
deliver us
spoke with
from
some people who
thy
shared exactly why they are out here. Take a listen.
I just think it's really important that we take care of one another, and we seem to be at a spot that that's not what's happening.
And I can say that's what I heard from a few people out here today. Now, like I said, we did speak with some teachers who are here from Des Moines Public School Districts. I have not run into, not saying they're not here, but I have not run into any district leaders.
Really? ABC 7 Chicago.
And we continue to follow.
Is gonna or no, that couldn't have been ABC Chicago. KCCI cut off its own fucking video right when it was getting good. Are you kidding me? All right. We have 40 minutes left, and we have gotten nowhere in this list. Oh my goodness. Okay. We do need to cover the Portland thing, though, because that's a pretty big fucking deal.
Follow our breaking news just a short time ago. President Trump announcing on Truth Social that he is sending troops to Portland, Oregon to protect ICE facilities. Now, Portland is just the latest Democratic-run city that the president has either sent or threatened to send troops to in his growing...
Also, why are we sending troops to protect a federal facility? I mean, look, that is a police vehicle. It says police on it. We have a militarized police force. Why do we need the military involved at all?
Crackdown on immigration and on crime. CNN's Kevin Liptak joins us now from the White House. Kevin, tell us, what more have you been learning about these latest developments here?
Yeah, and there's no question this is an escalation in the president's push to deploy the U.S. military on domestic soil. It follows this pattern. We saw it in Los Angeles. We saw it here in Washington, D.C. If the president...
Okay. I mean, did you hear that? Do I need to repeat it? Let's repeat it.
An escalation in the president's push to deploy the U.S. military on domestic soil. It follows...
You know what that's called? Deploying the U.S. military on domestic soil? That's called martial law. You know what's ridiculously illegal in the United States of America? Martial law, you guessed it, correct. And I don't think it's necessarily unconstitutional. Or at least I don't know which article and section would say that you can't use the military against citizens. It is implied in the Third Amendment that you will not house soldiers in your home. But, hear me out, Posse Comitatus Act, which explicitly spells out that the military will never be used to police people. Ever. It literally, I think that's actually what Posse Comitatus means in Latin. Like, I mean, maybe that's a bit of an exaggeration. I don't know. Whoops. Posse Comitatus. A U.S. federal law that generally restricts the use of the military for domestic law enforcement purposes. I hate the fact that it's AI overview, but bam. Exclusively to the U.S. Army, and then the Air Force, and then later the Navy. Wow, wait, wow. Damn. So the Navy and the Marines could have been used against civilians up until 2021. That's pretty fucking disturbing. Okay, hey, what were you asking earlier, apolitical? You said it up there, I think, previously. Something about, was America ever free? Ha! Apparently not. So, there's that. We'll put that in the stream links, I think. I'm going to have to organize this a little bit better. But yeah. So, yeah. It's very fucking illegal, and it's been very fucking illegal for a very long time. Although, arguably, it had to have another act passed in 2021. Getting knowledge from AI overview feels like a defeat. I know. It feels wrong. It feels dirty when AI gives you the answer. I mean, that's pretty much all that he's going to confirm. Plus, I do want to get through a few more of these lists. Otherwise, Thursday's recap, it's just going to be Taco Tuesday. And I feel so bad because Anna works really hard on these lists. I am sorry, Anna.
Mike Johnson is refusing to swear in Adelita Grijalva despite the fact she is winning her election by a landslide. And the reason he's doing this is because she is the 218th signature that they need for the Epstein discharge petition. He's wanting to wait as long as he possibly can until the final results are 100% conclusive before swearing her in. But this is a very...
What do you mean 100% conclusive? That is a fucking blowout. What the fuck do you mean?
Abnormal thing to do, especially in races like this where we can see she is the clear winner. Listen to what she has to say about it, because she calls out his double standard and the fact that he is deliberately delaying her from being sworn in.
I was looking at the example of now Representative Waukesha from Virginia, who was elected 2 weeks ago Tuesday, and that following Wednesday, less than 24 hours, was sworn in. And with...
I mean... Never mind, like, what's illegal activity and what's unconstitutional. How about just naked corruption? Just naked corruption.
Unofficial results.
We all know this is not about standard election procedure. This is about power and protection. She has promised that she will sign the Epstein discharge petition, giving them 218 signatures and finally bringing the full Epstein files to the floor. Of course, this terrifies Mike Johnson because his boss is allegedly a very big part of the Epstein files and probably one of Jeffrey Epstein's largest clients. There are also reports.
I like how everybody keeps saying allegedly, as if they're trying to avoid libel or something. I am not worried about it. Donald Trump was best friends with Jeffrey Epstein for 15 fucking years. And there is mountains of evidence that proves that the girls from Trump's pageants miraculously found their way onto the Epstein Island. There is no fucking universe in which those two being best buddies and him having access to underage girls did not result in being not just complicit or a participant, but an actual collusion of the criminal act of trafficking and child sex crimes. So, no, there's nothing alleged about it. The preponderance of the evidence is clear. And that's the lowest standard for legal stuff, by the way, in case you didn't know. Oh, I can do this thing again. That's really fun. I'm going to... I might have to... Maybe I'll just create another scene. One that's a big screen, like this. And then one that's the normal one. I don't know. Sorry, I'm not trying to be silly from a serious moment. I'm really not. I might also be ADHD. Sorry. Suffice to say, I have no fear whatsoever, and I am also absolutely confident, 100% confident. Again, due to the preponderance of the evidence, that an overwhelming majority of elected officials that have been in power for multiple years and stretching decades, that it had ties with Epstein at all, participated and or colluded. And I'm not going to mince my fucking words with that at all. Not even a little bit. Simply Steve, welcome to the stream. I was part of the first Portland courthouse wars. Holy shit, we got ourselves an OG. I really don't. I am an evil boss. She calls me Mao, which is Japanese for Demon Lord. This is why that guy is threatening Mike Johnson. He said that if he doesn't swear her in tomorrow, he will expose Mike Johnson's grinder. Which, why are you threatening to expose it? Do it. Hold on. Hold on. I gotta do what I gotta do here. Hold on a second. I gotta prepare for what I want to do now. All right. The guy who is threatening Mike Johnson's grinder release. Do it now! Do it! Do it now! You fucker! Do it now! They don't want to get sued. Come after me, motherfucker. Because guess what? Just like they couldn't sue AOC, because during the discovery process, it would be found out that Trump is on the Epstein list, and they'd have no choice but to deliver that information. Sue me, motherfuckers! Prove to me I'm wrong. Get fucked! Musk! Elon Musk! You are a child fucker from Epstein. Trump, you are a child fucker from the Epstein Island, and you helped traffic the girls. I can't necessarily say with conviction, the same conviction that Obama did that or Clinton did that. It's very likely that they were involved in some form or capacity or saw it happen, but I can't say with the same certainty that Elon Musk and Trump, they fucking did it. The guys with lacrosse sticks catch the tear gas canisters was great. Oh, that is fucking awesome. Yeah. Yeah, get the big sticks and yeet it back to them. Absolutely. Trump's a pedo. It's not a surprise. People have known this for quite a while, like long before he was president. Right. And a lot of Hollywood has been pedophiles. For fuck's sake. Elvis married a 14-year-old girl. And I think, oh, fuck. Not John Glenn, but something like that. That one of those old Western boys. He married a 14-year-old as well. Brutally honest. There were complaints against Trump about this back in the 90s, for fuck's sake. Exactly. Like, this shit goes back, way back. Hell, even Epstein himself went to trial long before 2018, and it just got brushed under the rug. Veteran, by the way. Who's the veteran? You? You're in the military, apolitical? That's the whole point, to get sued over it, so they have to bear the files. Right. So I don't know what Devin... Oh, hold on. Guys, say hi to Devin. Say hi to little Devin. He has 330 subscribers, and he has 791 views. Oh, it's adorable. Not that my channel... Actually, we could go to my channel, couldn't we? Ha! Look at my 449 subscribers. Let's go! Eat shit, Devin. I'm better than you. Kidding, Devin. You're clearly doing better than I am. Anyway, I digress. My mom lived in Queens in the 70s. She told me that there were rumors about Trump being a predator back then. Jesus. I mean, wouldn't that have been... like, as soon as he got his start then? Because that would have been when he was in his 20s. So, Trump's been a bastard, like a heinous bastard, for most of his life. There was a report about it in the New York Post in 92. Yep. Jerry Lee Lewis married his 13-year-old cousin. Right? That's fucking creepy as shit. I may not remember much, but I remember the headline news from quite a while ago. See, I was 3 in 92, so... I do not remember the headlines. Trump was working for his dad in the 70s, right? So that would really strongly imply that then Daddy Trump was also involved in that fuckery. So am I? Oh, that's right. This is actually my channel. So we'll give this boy a sub and a like. Go get him, Devin. Got the Statue of Liberty and everything here. Ooh, hey, you know what? I don't like that hairstyle. Now that I'm looking at it, now that it's like screaming at me. He's also blue-eyed. Devin? Devin? You better stay on the right side of history, mister. You better stay on the right side of history. Or else. All right. We shimped Devin. Oh, fuck. Y'all didn't see that. Hold on. Sorry. You see this? Oh, wait. Because you would have seen it in the... Oh, no. Because I was covered. Anyway. Blue eyes. Blonde hair. And look, you can see my mouse move. Blue eyes. Blonde hair. Anyway, sorry about that. All right. We don't need to scroll down. We need... All right. We've got 26 minutes left, so we got to cover some bigger stories here. The bigger stories. The stories. The ones that we... This would be one of them. Yeah, nope. Okay. All right. I definitely want to cover this. So let's do this.
Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has dissolved a Pentagon committee that provided recommendations and advice for women in the U.S. military. The department spokeswoman says the committee focused on...
Wait a second. Wait a second. It's not funny because it's really horrible, right? Like it. Oh wait, how am I not subscribed to NPR? The headline is terrible. Hegseth dissolves committee focused on military women. But then they make a woman who's the Pentagon press secretary deliver the. Which is it? Women have no place in the military, or they do? Are you fucking kidding me right now?
A divisive feminist agenda that hurts combat readiness.
What are they making this poor lady say? Kingsley Wilson, blink if you're in danger. Blink twice if you're in danger. Okay? Holy shit. That would be like... that would be like forcing Anna to... that would be like if I forced Anna to denounce Latina feminism or something along those lines. Like, that would be like me saying, hey, Anna, instead of being anti-ICE, we're just going to dial it back a little bit. We're going to stop them from being the secret police, but we're still going to keep them. And then make Anna say that on national television as my representative. So we're going to support ICE in going after illegal immigrants because that's wrong. Like, the equivalent of me making Anna say that is what is happening right here. A divisive feminist agenda that hurts combat readiness coming from a woman. Wow. Wow.
The agency committee was created in 1951. The Military Times newspaper says the committee has recently focused on military women's well-being, including sexual assault prevention.
Which was one of the biggest problems in the active duty Air Force when I was active duty. To the point where people were getting crucified due to the Me Too movement. Like, granted, there were a lot of people doing it, but even if you would get kicked out just for being accused because they didn't even want to take the risks. Okay. And that was back in 2012 to 2015. And now we have the white supremacy ultra conservative movement that has gone crazy in this country. Sexual assaults have had to have only increased. And they're getting rid of one of the programs that's been highlighting that program. That problem, I mean. And this program has been around since 1951, which was the Korean fucking War.
I'm Corva Coleman, NPR News.
Wow. That was one of the most brazen videos I think we have ever covered. The audacity. It struck me when Red Overlord said you have the right to leave if you can't stand what he's saying, but you lose everything. Yeah. Would the Democrats push back against Hitler? No. On account of the fact that they aren't now. And we can say Hitler this, Hitler that, but the point that of truly saying that this is Hitler is that it's fascism, that it's authoritarianism. And we are very clearly seeing that the Democrats are not pushing back against authoritarianism because they think they're going to get their turn at the wheel of authoritarianism. And what they don't realize is they are going to go to The Hague for crimes against humanity, war crimes, and crimes against democracy. They don't realize this yet, but that's what's going to happen. Right. And then Trump threatened Mamdani to get that he's not going to get money from New York City, which is funny because New York City pays far more in federal taxes than it uses, which, is indicative of every blue state in America. Also, New York and California, the states, are the majority of the GDP of America. So you're going to threaten one of your largest economic producers in the country. Like, that's not a winning strategy.
Watching Secretary Pete Hegseth addressing a meeting of hundreds of top-ranking generals and admirals, Hegseth told the officers, welcome to the War Department, because the era of the Department of Defense is over. He says the department lost its warrior ethos and became the woke department, saying the military promoted too many uniformed leaders for the...
See, I don't think I could have stayed in the military after 2016 anyway because of Trump and the behavior. But, like, I could not imagine being enlisted right now. Here's the worst part. I enlisted in November of 2009. In order to retire from the United States Air Force and get my full retirement benefit, I'd have to retire in 2029. Which means I would have been a 15-year veteran this year if I had stayed active duty the whole time. Ain't no fucking way I would have been able to stay in that uniform throughout this administration, because the first time I would have been given orders to go against my people, my countrymen, or to go to Palestine or any of these other things, I would have immediately driven to the closest major news network with those orders and burned them on national television. I would be in Leavenworth making big rocks small rocks. I would definitely be a political prisoner. No fucking way. No chance.
The wrong reasons based on race or gender quotas. Now he says the military must address the problems in its own command, and the Pentagon is ripping out the debris of DEI initiatives and woke garbage. Hegseth criticized troops he called fat, saying service members will be held to the highest male standard, but says this isn't about keeping women out of the service. He says they'll also have to adhere to new grooming standards. Hegseth also stressed peace through strength.
Hey, you want to talk about the sexual assault problem in the military? There's your fucking guy. Right there. He's right there.
Those who long for peace must prepare for war. Now, Hegseth says this
also,
is the most urgent moment.
Why are we preparing for war? We are at peace. We are not at war with any country right now. We are not at war with any ideology. There's no global war on terror. So what war are we preparing for? In the highest male military standard would be the 18 to 25-year-old bracket, which, if I remember correctly, was something like 68 push-ups, 58 sit-ups, a 9-minute mile and a half. I'm talking about the Air Force. And then a 30-inch waist. This ain't a 30-inch waist no more. And once you get in your 30s, like, bloating happens. That's a thing. Like, that's a thing. That. And if we're talking about the highest male standards in the military, period, then we're talking special forces, which includes pull-ups and includes a swim. And significantly faster run times. I think your push-ups and sit-ups are gone to 2 minutes then. But it's still like... Well, we can look that up. Special Forces PT requirements. CCT. Well, CCT is the Air Force, not... Oh, here it is. Perfect. Air Force combat controllers are Green Berets, Scout Snipers. They're the Navy SEALs of the Air Force. They are them. They are Captain fucking America. These guys are lethal weapons. They are danger. They are do not cross. Okay? You do not pass go. You also do not collect $200, and you do not go to jail. You die. That is who a combat controller is. Just to be as clear as possible with who or what these guys are and what it is they do. That's their training. We don't care about that. Okay. Special warfare. They have to swim 25 meters underwater. 500 meters in 3 different styles, which I don't know if you've ever swam 100 meters. An Olympic swimming pool is 25 meters. That's there, back, there, and back again. Okay? And you're doing that 20 times. Timed. Like this, and whatever the fuck a side stroke is, because I don't even know what that is. A 1.5 mile run, pull-ups, sit-ups, and then push-ups. And it doesn't say what the standards are. Download a 20-day fitness program? Sure. Why fucking not? ASVAB score requirements, 49. It's not very high. And you got to be at least 17 to 42. Let's go. All right, let's download this training program, though. I don't think it's going to show up on here, so I'm going to click on it, though. Oh, it did. All right, guys. In 21 days, you too can become an Air Force combat controller. Day 1, 1 mile, easy 1 mile, easy 25 full body pull-ups, unassisted, easy 50 push-ups, easy 75 air squats, followed by another 1 mile run. So I guess what you're supposed to do is run a mile, do 25 pull-ups, then do 50 push-ups, and then 75 air squats, right? Like the air squats being like this, right? And then another mile run. No biggie. Easy. Easy. No contest. Day 2. Breath holding techniques. 10 by 30 seconds while sitting with a 2-minute rest in between, followed by a 500 meter swim, followed by 21, 15, and 9 burpees, 21, 15, and 9 sit-ups, 21, 15, and 9 lunges. Now, if you don't know what a burpee is, that's where... I don't know if I can even do a burpee. All right, so a burpee is where you go like this, you go down, and you're not going to see me on camera, but then you go into a push-up position, do a push-up, and then jump up. 1. And then do it again. So I don't think I can do a burpee. Ugh! Oh, shit. And this is why I cover all my drinks and snacks. Ugh. I did chest today, okay? So I'm a little sore. That's just day 2. And again, a 500 meter swim is 20 laps in an Olympic-sized swimming pool. I cannot stress enough how ludicrously unrealistic of a fitness regimen that is to just walk into. And they're saying, oh yeah, in 21 days, you can just go ahead and do this. If you have gone to the gym for the past 5 years straight, and you have a chiseled chest, biceps that curve like this, a back that just looks like it was chiseled out of marble, and you never skipped leg day, and you just got yams, right? You can squat 400 pounds like it's nothing. Put up 405 like it's nothing. Curl 80 pounds like this, right? You still won't be able to do the run or the swim. No chance in hell. Not a single chance in hell. Unless you also, after your fitness training for those 5 years, were doing 30 minutes of cardio. There is not a possibility of even athletes doing this. None. No chance. Day 3. Run with a 200-meter jog with walk between sprints. And your sprints are going to be 6 by 200 meters, 4 by 400 meters, and 2 by 800s. Now, a sprint is doing this at your fullest capacity. Just, right? On your left. On your left. Most people can't even do 100 meters. Most athletes would struggle to do a 200 going all out. People train for the Olympics just to do the 200 or the 400 or the 800. They dedicate their lives, their whole body and life to being able to do one of those 3. And you're supposed to just belt them out on the 3rd day. Like, the sarcasm, right? I cannot even hide how much sarcasm is in here, right? More breath holding techniques. I don't know what an AMRAP is, so mile run stuff and things, right? Like, and the reason why and look, in a whole week, you should have increased the amount of sprints that you're doing by 1. Sure, if you were 18 years old and you were doing sports since you were 7 and actively fit throughout that 7 to 18, that 11 years, and you were maybe the star of the football team or track team, maybe you could do this. Make that kind of progression in 7 days. That is an absurd. Oh, day 20 or 21, go ahead and rest. 19 days of probably one of the most brutal physical fitness things you could ever imagine. And then go ahead and take 2 days of rest. I can't even. So, and the reason why we looked at this, folks, was because Pete Hegseth said he would hold all military members to the highest male military standards for fitness, which is this. There's going to be, I don't know how many special forces there actually are in the military right now, but I'm guessing that's all who's going to be left, because ain't no fucking way. That's not a thing that will happen. That is right, and there's no not even a remote. He's a fit guy. I'm fairly certain Pete Hegseth, he's probably a fit man in his 50s or late 40s, however the fuck old he is. I am sure he is fit. He is not an athlete. And those standards are like Olympic athlete standards. Like, those are decathlon standards. Those are like endurance athlete standards. Like, like star soccer players, football players, race car drivers, baseball, lacrosse, hockey. They can do some of that, but there's no chance in hell that they can do all of that. Anyway. Can the current commander-in-chief do any of that? No, not. And none of the generals would be able to do that either. Like, let's be completely honest. There might be a couple light colonels that could do it. A couple, but they have been in special forces since birth, okay? Again, the only people doing that are special forces. So, if he's talking about the highest military standards the military has to offer, there's going to be like a maximum of 3,000 people in the military. A maximum. And they are all going to be 45 or younger. Like, there's no way. And even if it was just the male standards, so just like regular PT standards, which one? Army, Marines, Navy, or Air Force? Which branch are you picking? And then it's going to be the 18-year-old bracket. I'm sorry, but 40-year-olds are just not built that way anymore. And there are fit 40-year-olds. You betcha. But anyway, I think that's enough of that. I went off on a tangent. I am so sorry. I got a little lost in the sauce on that one. Because okay. Yeah, we're not going to be able to cover most of this. Oh yeah, the AI videos that Trump was posting. Yeah, those are really that. Again, why is the president of the United States posting AI slop in the first place? Secondly, why is he using it to disparage members of the opposition party? And why is he also trying to push alien conspiracy theories? Like, what the fuck? What do we cover? Okay, we got 4 minutes. I guess we should just wrap it up. Right, and just had him. Right, so the Michigan. I'm sorry, we're really gonna have to cover a bunch of these on Thursday. More states move towards gerrymandering. Outstanding. Let's just go ahead and just let the corruption fly true, I guess. That's something we're definitely going to want to cover. The deadly shootings. There have been so many shootings now that consistently are making national news because I guess now it's popular to make them national news again. But yeah, that's we just gotta. So, again, after 17 days of this ludicrously intense training, on your 17th day, you're supposed to be running 200 meters in between your sprints. I'm sorry. You're sprinting, and then you're doing a cool down run. Gotcha. You're supposed to be... You're supposed to be able to sprint 8 200s, 6 400s, and 4 800s, and a mile. A sprint of a mile. The world record being 4 minutes, but a 6-minute mile, most people would probably consider that a fucking sprint. So, plus the 200 meters of running in between each. So that's 8 plus 6 plus 4 is 18, 19. So 19 times 200 is 3,800 meters. So you're doing a 3.8 kilometer run, which is a 2 miles-ish. You're sprinting a mile. You're sprinting a mile and a half. And then you're sprinting 24 plus 32 is what? 56? Is 56 divided by 16? No. So, you're basically sprinting 5.5 miles and running 2 on the 17th day. You're sprinting 5.5 miles. Going from 0, right, Going from a mile run, a couple of push-ups and pull-ups and air squats and another mile, to your basic sprint, to sprinting 5.5 miles in 2 weeks. I mean, my run improved a lot in basic training, and I gained 30 pounds, but I did not go from barely being able to run to being able to do Olympic feats. Like, that's all right, I'm sorry. So that'll be the stream, folks. I can't. That was amusing. Thank you for that. Thank you for participating in that with me. So that's been a stream. Thank you for joining me on Taco Tuesdays. Let me know if you really liked this format, if you think it made the stream a bit more engaging, if it made it more accessible. Tomorrow is Worldwide Wednesdays, where we'll be covering foreign affairs, which there's been quite a bit of that going along too. So we have 3 countries offering military vessels to aid the flotilla on its way to Palestine. We got Trump and Putin threatening each other with World War III. North Korea may or may not have threatened to nuke Israel. There's just an astronomical amount of batshittery going on in the world as well. So it's not just America, folks. So with that, thank you all for joining the stream. I'll see you tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern. And, man, have a good night. Samuel Ronan, your president, out.